Yo, what's good, everybody? It's your boy George Michael Perez, aka G Mike, and y'all tuned in to another episode of Los Bandoleros Fantasy Football League. It's been dope. It's been hype this whole season. We're coming down to the end, just 2 more weeks until the playoffs start. The last video I did was on Week 8 results and Week 9 matchups. It's been a hectic past couple of months for me. But now I got a lot of time on my hands, so these videos are going to be coming out every week. For now, we're just going to jump to the Week 12 results and look at the Week 13 matchups and forget about the last 3 weeks that were in the past because we're not going to go into that. It's going to be too long of a video. But before we get into it, follow me on my social media accounts, Twitter at George Mike Perez, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at GMikeMedia_. And if you haven't heard, I'm doing a podcast on sports. It's under the G Perspective on all podcast platforms, including YouTube. So now let's jump into it. Let's see what's up with these Week 12 results and this Week 10 matchups. You heard? All right, like I said, I'm not going to do the past 3 weeks that have been going on. I know that the last episode was Week 8 results and Week 9 matchups, but now we're on Week 12 results and Week 13 matchups. So the first results of this week was me going up against Jose for the second time in a row. This motherfucker beats me 130.02 to 115.74. My team did what it does. They did their thing, but Dalvin Cook really didn't do that much. He had a decent game. But for Jose, Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs went off on Thanksgiving. Then Tyreek Hill, David Montgomery, and Rachaad White went off on Sunday. And just those 5 players beat my team alone. If maybe Indianapolis defense last night would have gave me 20 points, I would have won that. But that's a big hope that I had last night. But if I look at my bench, anybody else I would have put in, it really wouldn't do much. Maybe if I would have put in Devontae Smith or Darius Slay and from Michael Carter Jr. because he got injured during the game, maybe it would have helped me out a little bit, but Jose still would have won. If Jose would have substituted DeAndre Swift or Cordell Patterson for one of these other running backs, it would have hurt him tremendously. So he did some good coaching this week. His bench put up 52.24 points. My bench put up 50.24 points. Jose improves to 6th place. He is now in playoff contention, and I moved down to 7th place, and I'm in the hunt for the playoffs, so I need to win every single week. All right, second matchup here, we got the reigning champ, Steve, with 138.30 going up against Jawan, 116.52. Now, Jawan, the past few weeks has been gotten hit with the injury bug tremendously. God damn, it's been bad for Jawan. It's just a bad year for him. And then he got Travis Etienne getting injured against Baltimore. He could have come back in the game, but I guess they didn't want to risk it, so they kept him out of the game. That really hurt him. But Steve's team, Jonathan Taylor, when he came back, started doing numbers. It was good for Steve not to trade JT. And Rashad Stevenson doing his thing always. Michael Pittman Jr., Chris Godwin, and Patrick Mahomes, of course. Steve team went off. And let's check out the benches right quick. If Steve would have substituted any of his bench players for anybody else, it would have hurt him a lot. And then Jawan, there was nothing that you can do with your bench. Again, his whole team is injured. Cooper Kupp out, Darren Waller out, J.K. Dobbins out, Jameson Williams out. He got 4 players that are out this week and last week as well. So Jawan's team put up 10.50 points. Steve's team 18.70 points on the bench. Steve improves to 4th place. He's been coming up. He's trying to get into the playoffs for sure, and it looks like he will. Jawan moved to 10th. His playoff contention hopes are done. All right, third matchup here, we got Fabi, a.k.a. the Legend, with 111.34 going up against Adonis, a.k.a. Crypto Wolf, 129.22 points. Adonis has been going up in the charts. He is now 1st place in the league for the past few weeks already. His team is doing work. Saquon Barkley, of course, doing what he does. Travis Kelce, as always. But his flex, DeAndre Carter, great flex put, 73 reception yards, 7 receptions, and 1 reception TD. So that was a good coaching move by Adonis. And then we look at Fabi's team. Gabriel Davis, he's been in and out. He has like 3 good games this year, maybe 4. So it kind of hurt him a bit. Then Wilson Jr., he got injured. before halftime. No, I'm sorry, in the third quarter, in the start of the third quarter. So he got out, messed him up a little bit, but he still would have lost no matter what. Even if he would have put any of his bench players in, maybe Foreman would have done a little more work than Tony Pollard, but he still would have gotten the L. Adonis' team just came out to play. 21.62 bench points for Adonis, 25.50 bench points for Fabi. Adonis remains first place. Fabi moves down to ninth, and I think his playoff contention hopes are done. But still 2 more weeks left. From 4 through 9 is pretty close, so he's just gotta hope that he gotta win. Next matchup, we got George, aka Losing Hurts, which he's gonna change his team name back next year to try to get that luck. He got 89.80 points going up against Johnny, aka Johnny Say Word, hottest rapper out of Miami, 124.60 points. Look at George's team. Damian Pierce took a step back in back-to-back weeks. McCaffrey, he got injured during the game, so they probably didn't want to risk him coming back. Then Johnson, tight end, didn't even get playing time in this game, so that's pretty tough. George's team, tough. Johnny, his team always doing work. His team is pretty fucking solid. Justin Jefferson, 139 reception yards, 9 receptions, 1 reception TD on Thanksgiving. Nick Chubb, 116 rush yards, 1 rush TD, 16 reception yards. And Perrine, the backup for Joe Mixon, which Johnny has, did work as well. 1 rush TD, 58 rush yards, 4 receptions. Johnny's team went off, did what they did. If he would have put in anybody else for his current players, it would have messed him up for sure. So good coaching on Johnny's part. George's, he had no hope. His bench really didn't do much. 18 points for George's bench, 35.30 points for Johnny's bench. Johnny improves to 3rd place, and he looks like he's getting into the playoff mode. And George, your season is done, buddy. I'm sorry. All right, we got Gio, aka the rookie, with 127, going up against Tricky, which was the undefeated king a few weeks ago, but a lot has changed. He has gone on a downhill, but he won this week, so it's going to be good momentum for him going forward. 142.66 points. Looking at Tricky's team, Josh Jacobs, 48.30 fantasy points, 229 rush yards, 2 rush TDs, 74 reception yards. This man went off. In another league, he put me 51 points. This man went off. And then Austin Eckler, 25 fantasy points, 11 receptions, 60 reception yards, 1 reception TD. Did work. Just with the running backs, I think Tricky would have won this week, but Lamar Jackson did his thing. His receivers did their thing, and then everybody else kind of shit the bed. But looking at Gio's team, there, Darnell Mooney, he got out of the game. He got injured, a messed up ankle. Zeke and Brian Robinson did their thing, and T. Higgins did their thing, but it wasn't enough to beat Tricky mainly because of Josh Jacobs. We'll look at the bench right quick. If Gio would have put in, if he would have put in Traylon Burks in for Darnell Mooney, it would have put him up there. He would have been close, maybe 139 to 142. It would have been a closer game for sure. But looking at Tricky's team, if Tricky would have substituted anybody else, maybe if he would have put Marquise Brown in for Donnell Peoples-Jones, it would have given him many more points, but it doesn't matter. He still got the win. 52.06 bench points for Trick, 57.58 bench points for Gio. Gio is out of playoff contention for sure. He's last place in the league. Motherfucker might be wearing a dress at Winwood. Who knows? But Tricky's in the playoff mode. He's going to be in playoffs for sure. And then the last matchup, we got Ernie with 104 points going up against Kev with 143.66 points. And Kev's team went off. Justin Herbert doing his thing, almost putting up 30 fantasy points. Okay, finally came to play. Keenan Allen, finally, after fucking sitting out so many damn games, finally comes out, gets a TD, 5 receptions, 49 reception yards. Kevin needed that tremendously. James Conner doing his thing too, 120 rush yards, 1 reception TD, 3 receptions. Cortland Sutton and his kicker did work. Did too much going up against Ernie. Ernie had Miles Sanders with 31 fantasy points, 143 rush yards, 2 rush TDs, and 3 receptions, but it was not enough because everyone else kind of shitted the bed a little bit, especially Aaron Rodgers, that he got injured and he was out for the game. Only put up 9 fantasy points. Let's look at the benches right quick. Ernie would have put in Thielen. That would have put him closer, but still would have lost. If he would have put in Marcus Mariota, would have put him closer, still probably would have lost. And then if you would have put in AJ Dillon for Camaro, damn, those 3 substitutions right there, actually, you probably would have tied against Kev. It would have been close for sure. But if Kev would have put Zay Jones in for, actually, nobody, because everybody else did it pretty good. But Zay Jones had 27.50 fantasy points on the bench. Kevin's team, 58.40 fantasy points on the bench and 63.76 bench points for Ernie. Ernie is in 5th place. He's still in playoff hope. Kev is in 8th place. He's in the playoff hunt, just like me. And if he keeps winning, maybe he can make it. All right, so let's look at the standings right quick. We got Adonis. He's already in playoffs for sure. He already clinched a spot. At 2nd, we got Tricky. 3rd, Johnny. 4th, Steve. 5th, Ernie. 6th, Jose. 7th, me. 8th, Kev. 9th, Bobby. 10th, Jawan. 11th, George. 12th, Gio. So from Steve to Kev, we all are fighting for a playoff spot. Because if Steve loses, he could drop down. If me and Kev win, we could go up, and it could be a fucktard. A fucktard. It could be a fucktard. All right. So, Kev, we play each other this week. First matchup, me and Kev. So whoever loses, most likely is going to be out of playoffs. So it's going to be tough right there. Jose going up against George. Jose, you got to win against George, because if not, you could probably get out too. Steve going up against Trick. I like that. It's going to be some good mesh right there. That means if Trick wins, Steve could drop down. Hell yeah. Bobby going up against Ernie. Bobby, you beat Ernie. He could drop down too. And then Jawan going up against Johnny. It doesn't really matter if Johnny loses or Jawan wins, so it doesn't really matter there. Gio going up against Adonis. That matchup doesn't really matter either. But there's 4 matchups next week that really matter to some of us. Me going up against Kev, Jose going up against George, Steve going up against Trick, and Bobby going up against Ernie. All right. So those are the week 12 results and the week 13 matchups. If you see your boy is in 7th place, I need to get this fucking win against Kev. Because if not, I'm gonna be in the fucking dress contention. Can't be that. Can't do that, man. So it's gonna be hype. It's gonna be some. But follow me on my socials at George Mike Perez on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at GMikeMedia_, and then the podcast itself on YouTube. You can see it under the G Perspective, or on all podcast platforms under the G Perspective. Appreciate you guys, and hopefully you guys subscribe, like, and leave some comments, baby.